back to Wisconsin weather experts on Fox Local on this Thursday.
Yeah, had to think about it for a bit, right? It's been one of those weeks.
Yes, always.
I like to call it Friday's dress rehearsal, and in many ways today is, because we're warming up a little today. We warm up quite a bit more tomorrow.
Yeah, we have big changes in the weather department the next couple of days, but then kind of turning the corner again over the weekend,
right,
as in falling back a little bit. A lot going on
right.
in
Well,
the next
we have like
couple of
a
days.
classic, like the world, well, I mean, not the world, but a good chunk of the baseball world will be focused on Milwaukee on Monday for the Brewers home opener. We're going to do the official forecast in a bit. But I always laugh when we live up to our stereotype weather-wise, right? Because, there's a good chunk of the country, probably a good chunk of the world that thinks Wisconsin is just snowy and cold all the time. Well, when they tune in to watch the Brewers play the Kansas City Royals, we'll be like, yep, sure is.
Yep. Almost April, and it's still snowing.
Meanwhile, in the next day or two, it's going to feel more like a summer day stuff.
Yeah, tomorrow temperatures are going to climb steadily, and it's thanks in part to another storm system that's going to be moving through, warm front that's going to pass on by.
Massive warm front, too.
Huge.
This thing stretches like 2/3 of the continental U.S.
Exactly. So big system on the way. We've had some light rain so far today, too. Let's go ahead and jump into our regional forecast here. Just starting off with a local view, we have seen a little bit in the way of light rain. Most of it has been sprinkles, and it's just about out of here. Clouds look to be thinning out a little bit, especially in western Wisconsin, so I do think there's hope for some sunshine as the day goes on. It's really just those far northern communities, Fond du Lac into Sheboygan, still dealing with a few sprinkles. Most of the activity with this disturbance has actually been south into parts of Illinois down to about St. Louis and northern Missouri. It's continuing to track towards the southeast here. No problems, just your run-of-the-mill rain showers, thunderstorms, and it will eventually dissipate as it continues to make its way off towards the east. Here's that next storm system. We've got a warm front again off towards the west that's going to make its way through tomorrow. The accompanying cold front will eventually drop our temperatures later Saturday and especially Sunday into Monday of next week. So this is one of those bigger, more long duration type systems with the fact that it's going to impact us for a few days. We're really only looking at washouts when it comes to Sunday. I do still think we'll have decent dry time Friday, at least here in Wisconsin, as well as into parts of the day Saturday. Now down towards the south, flooding rainfall, the big story in southern Texas. You can still see there are flood headlines in portions of southern Texas. Red flag warning out west, starting to see some winter weather headlines up north as that storm system out west makes its way in. It is going to produce some snow and wintry mix, especially north into parts of Minnesota as well as northern Wisconsin. This was a big headline yesterday, though, down towards the south in southern Texas, and will continue to be, I think, in the coming days as flooding rainfall is ongoing. There are still flood watches in effect for southern Texas, with 3 to 6 inches of rain still possible through tomorrow. That's a huge amount alone, but think of how much had already fallen yesterday. This is a look at radar estimated precipitation through this hour. Notice a lot of these yellow, oranges, and even pinks indicating rainfall ranges from 1 to at least 4 inches. And again, that was over the last 24 hours. So with more rain continuing today, the flood risk is excessive in southern parts of Texas once again for the remainder of today and on into tomorrow. There is a marginal risk for some severe weather down south in Texas as well, not really expecting it to be a huge deal. And then notice not too far from us, both a marginal in green as well as a slight risk down towards the southwest of us for today for some thunderstorm activity, especially later on tonight. Now here locally in southern Wisconsin, I should say, we could see a few thunderstorms to start things Friday morning, but not really looking at a severe threat here locally. And now yesterday we talked about the really abnormal severe threat across the Pacific Northwest. Now thankfully haven't really seen much in the way of hail reports as there was that potential, but something interesting to note, they saw a ton of lightning, which I know you think thunderstorm, you think lightning, but the National Weather Service actually came out and said at least 900 lightning strikes between portions of Washington as well as Oregon. So just a crazy thing to think about. A lot of lightning with some of those storms as they moved in yesterday. But again, not really seeing much in the way of those hail reports as there look to be the potential. So some good news there. Now for tomorrow, a marginal risk is still across parts of Wisconsin down into about Nebraska as well as down towards the south. Really not expecting much out of this, but just again, we do have the chance for a few thunderstorms here or there, more so Friday morning, and mainly across parts of Wisconsin as well as down towards the southwest. Just something that we'll be watching, but not terribly concerned here locally. But it does, you can see, account for at least northern as well as central parts of the state. Now here's a statewide view of sky vision. So we will continue to see maybe a few showers building back in overnight tonight, as well as into tomorrow morning. You can see them developing in Iowa and then kind of lifting through the Madison area early Friday, maybe hitting Milwaukee up to, let's say, just south of Green Bay through about mid-morning on Friday. And then the rest of southern Wisconsin will dry out throughout Friday afternoon. Could still be some rain showers as well as wintry mix across far northern Wisconsin, as well as especially the UP into northern parts of Minnesota. Now we'll see even more precipitation developing Friday night into Saturday, though I do think we could have some dry time, at least in the southern half of the state, Saturday morning. But notice all of this that starts to develop later in the day. You've got the wintry side of the storm system with heavy snowfall, and then the rainy side with maybe a few rumbles of thunder, and it really fills in Saturday night into Sunday, which is why earlier I mentioned maybe Sunday being more so the washout here locally with rain most of the day, but then you can see that changeover later Sunday night to more of a wintry mix, as well as some slushy snowfall to kick things off Monday morning. One of those systems that's going to bring us a little bit of everything, including wind, which I didn't really touch on, but starting Friday through Monday, windy conditions are back in the area. Temperatures are great right now. A lot of spots, including up north, climbing into the 50s. Forecast highs for today are in the 50s. In fact, we may actually exceed those a little bit in some spots. Wouldn't be surprised to see some areas down towards the southwest in the 60s. And you can see a large swath of the country here, at least the central portions of our country, going to be well warmer than average today with high temperatures in the 70s and maybe even a few 80s, thanks in part to that warm front that's off towards the west. You can tell that we see that warm front tomorrow as we soar into the 70s. We'll start things off pretty mild Saturday, but then gradually fall, especially the second half of the day, and then we fall below average and basically back to reality as that system exits and starts to pull in more of that cool air. And just to show you some specifics here again, Friday, when it comes to that warm front, you can tell it's expected to stall out really in central parts of the state. So north of that line, it will be quite a bit cooler tomorrow, whereas southern communities along and south of that frontal boundary will likely be well into the 70s. Now, on the cold side of this storm system, there are those winter weather headlines. So as we're getting more so rain in southern Wisconsin, you can already see some winter weather advisories as well as winter storm watches up towards the north.
Could see quite a few inches worth of snow up
Absolutely.
in the UP. Even north central, northeastern Wisconsin could get some interesting snow over the next few days. It's March. It's not all that out of the ordinary, but I know we'd like to get started with spring. At least down here in southern Wisconsin.
Nice.
Up north, they're probably irritated. It's like, well, now we get snow? Because
I know.
they wanted it for the snowmobile trails, and it didn't come.
Right.
And now they're getting it when it's sloppy and useless and only lasts a couple of days. So.
That's how I feel about opening day. We went all winter long without much snow, but when baseball begins and we want to tailgate, it's
we want to tailgate, we want the roof open, all those things, but
we can't have what we want, people.
That's right. We never get what we want. You know what? We get what we get, though. And we don't throw a fit, as my mom used to say, right? And we really shouldn't be too upset because in other parts of the country, there has been some severe weather. Look at this video from our good friends over at Fox Weather, Robert Ray, one of the correspondents there, sending us this video of how the heavy rain was impacting San Antonio Wednesday evening. Some pretty substantial flooding on area roads there.
And that's going to continue today as well as into tomorrow morning.
Yeah, very active and intense system down in that area. And, you know, flooding is oftentimes appreciated for its intensity. From there, we go to some wildfires.
Oh, yes, and I believe there are still multiple wildfires in North and South Carolina. We've talked about it a little bit over the last couple of days. Crews are battling flames in the Blue Ridge Mountains, fueled by dry and windy weather. South Carolina officials say the fires near Table Rock State Park and Permissian Ridge were started by a person, unfortunately. Now, the good news is that rain is in the forecast for this weekend. Officials say it should help calm things down, but they also worry it's not enough. This is just so devastating, especially when you factor in North Carolina, because these are the spots that were just devastated by flood water from Helene.
Yeah, so this is following that up. And it's so dry there that just, like a spark from your lawnmower blade or some sort of, yard tool hitting concrete or a stone could set, a whole area ablaze, and just stunning and just horrific looking pictures there.
Yeah.
Of course, not the only part of the planet that is prone to wildfires. Over in Japan, wildfires making news there. Look at this video. This is two different areas actually of western Japan. It damaged some homes, forced the residents there to evacuate. According to the Fire and Disaster Management Agency there, a fire broke out in western Okayama Prefecture, which is like their version of a state or a province or whatever, in Japan. That was on Sunday. So wildfire since burned 5 homes. Hundreds of firefighters had to work to get these flames under control. Fire also broke out in the city of Imabari, I hope I'm saying that correctly, where a large tree was burned and helicopters had to be brought in to fly over and release water. Stunning video from that too.
That's just very unfortunate to see. It just... It seems like it's everywhere.
Right, yeah, I was going to say,
something we're highlighting
a world
lot
away,
of.
But yet also in our backyard. There were small wildfires here just even recently, that one in Dodge County, where, just a little spark, and all of a sudden, because even though we have had rain recently, the vegetation is still pretty dry, so things do catch fire very, very quickly. So just another reason to take care out there. All right, coming up, we are talking all about different parts of our planet Earth, and next month it will be time to celebrate Earth with Earth Day. I had a chance to catch up with the artist behind the Earth Day poster. We'll get that interview next. All right, welcome back to Wisconsin Weather Experts here on Fox Local. As we said, going into the break, obviously we are wrapping up March, headed into April, and in April we celebrate this planet that we're all hanging out on, and the Earth Day was started right here in Wisconsin. But I got a chance to catch up with the artist, Alexis Rockman, who is the artist behind this year's Earth Day poster. Give us a listen. We are joined by an artist today, Alexis Rockman. Alexis, thank you so much for taking some time to chat today.
Pleasure.
And you have an interesting honor this year. You are the artist behind the Earth Day poster. Tell me how that came about.
Well, first of all, Earth Day has been on my radar for decades. I wasn't aware of it in its first year in 1970. I would have been 8 years old, and that wasn't really what I was thinking about at 8 years old. But I was loving nature and animals, and I grew up in Manhattan. My mom's an archaeologist. I spent a lot of time going to Australia. She worked at the Museum of Natural History. That was really a gateway to understanding nature. And of course, where our place is in the natural world is, I would say, complicated. So Earth Day's been on my radar for decades because of my interests. And I got an email from the former director of the Smithsonian American Art Museum, where I had a retrospective 15 years ago, Elizabeth Braun, and she mentioned that she'd been speaking to the Earth Day folks and suggested me for the gig and asked if I was interested. And of course I said yes.
That's so exciting. It must obviously an honor. And obviously, like you said, you were kind of born for this in a way, with all of the, travel you've done around the globe, places you've lived, and of course, your family connections as well. So I'm sure it was an easy yes for you. Now, what inspired this year's design? Tell me a bit about that.
Well, as much as I said yes, then there was the process of finding an image that worked for all of us. And that was a complicated process because I don't know if you have looked at my work. I wouldn't say I don't generally focus on the positive relationship that humans have to the natural world. I've been interested in the biodiversity crisis, extinction, climate change, which has been on my radar since the mid-90s, and I've made paintings about that. So I started out coming from a slightly more, let's just say, cautionary tale of burnt earth, scorched earth, all sorts of things. And it became increasingly clear that they weren't really interested in that type of approach, which I would say negative reinforcement. And I thought, well, maybe I'm not the right person for this job. And then I was talking to my wife about this, and she said, don't be a fool. Try to make this work. it's an interesting thought exercise, and you'll never have this chance again. So to make a long story short, I talked to some friends and we sort of, over a couple of beers, I don't know if you have a FCC mandate there, but we shot the you know what, and we came up with this idea of reflections in a solar panel, which is a way of having your cake and eating it too. You can have an image that is psychedelic because it's distorted, but it also has this collective, diverse crowd with their hands and then forests and stuff like that and migrating monarchs. So it ended up working out.
Fascinating. Yeah, and an interesting way for you to kind of blend your take on things with the more positive energy that is Earth Day.
Right.
And it's an interesting point because Earth Day has always been kind of about the more positive side and looking at what we can do for the planet that we are all sharing. And you've been doing art, obviously, as you said, you've had displays through many, many years here. Is this, where would this rank on kind of the projects that you've had?
Well, it's unfolding as day by day. So it hasn't even dropped yet. So I don't know where it's going to be, but it's definitely in the top, constellation of things. I mean, let's see what happens with this project. But I'm thrilled that it worked out, and I can't wait for my merchandise to show up in the mail.
Yeah, it looks really cool.
T-shirts.
And speaking of which, where can people go if they want to find your art and, of course, the Earth Day poster?
AlexisRockman.net.
Thanks so much for taking some time to chat with us. And of course, again, if you want to check out that amazing artwork, you can do so at the website and through Earth Day as well.
Thank you, Ron.
Take care.
All right. Bye-bye. Thanks.
Yeah, fascinating, guys.
Good stuff.
Yeah, so many interesting projects over the course of his artistic career. And then obviously, as you heard him say, this was a really important one for him, kind of an adjustment of his tone and his style.
Sure. Well, we love people who love the planet,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, as far as we know, it's the only one we got.
Yes, as far as we know.
So we'd like to take care of it,
Yes.
Like when you tell your kids clean up your room, it's kind of what Mother Nature's telling us to do every now and
Exactly.
again. We'd like to be able to live here for a few millennia more, please, and thank you. When we come back, we don't have a millennium more, but we do have at least 8 to 10 minutes more of Wisconsin weather experts, including some otters, a fascinating time lapse, and even a brewer's forecast. Stick around.
Welcome back to Wisconsin Weather Experts here exclusively on Fox Local. Thanks for sticking with us on this somewhat cloudy Thursday.
Roof's open.
Should get a little bit better. But yes,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can see this is a live camera of AmFam Field. We've been looking at it all morning long because we are just so excited for Monday's home opener.
Yeah, I mean, like we said at the top of the show here, it may not be the best forecast for baseball, but it's always exciting to be talking about baseball over at American Family Field to take on the Kansas City Royals at American Family Field. And the forecast does call for some snow showers.
Yes.
High of 38, so that's the high for the day. So it'll be pretty chilly throughout the course of the game. And the wind right now looks to be particularly strong.
Yes.
I mean, some of that could change a little bit heading into Monday, but maybe not the perfect first day forecast. But that's all right. Maybe it's like, reverse foreshadowing, right? Like bad weather, great season.
Yeah, okay.
Let's go with that. Let's go with that.
I still remember going to some early season games, April, even early May, where it's been wintry mix and windy, and we've just moved tailgating into the car.
There you go. And you guys are a big baseball family, right? Like the whole bunch of you.
Yeah, we enjoy it.
All right.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've actually tailgated, but we enjoy it.
There you go. Well, hopefully we will get many, many more. It's like
we will, yes.
180 some odd games, 162, I think it is, something like that. So I think we'll get a couple of good ones in there too. The first one will be rough. If you have ever a question, maybe it's about tailgating weather, maybe it's about anything else in the atmosphere or anything earth science related, please make sure that you let us know. There is a special QR code that we have for you. You can go there, you can go to the website and click on that at fox6now.com, and that sends a question right through that we may be able to answer right here in the Wisconsin Weather Experts on Fox Local. So it's been an interesting 24 hours for a couple of otters in Wisconsin.
Yes, these otters from Green Bay, I believe. It's still
the new
out.
zoo, I think it's called.
Yeah, out and about doing their own thing.
I guess they were like really excited about the snow. That was the first headline, was that they wanted to go on a snowy adventure. So now they're out, and the funniest thing, like, look, they're right there. They're on top of the trap that was set out. So the good news is these are native to Wisconsin otters. These are river otters. They're not sea otters. They're going to be fine, like they've got everything they need to survive in the wilderness, but they are supposed to be at the zoo. So the zoo wants them back. And now you see this thing checking out the trap. I guess, Steph, they've been putting out traps, like live traps, obviously, to get these things back. And then raccoons have been sneaking in and messing with the trap so that the otters don't actually get trapped. They've formed some sort of alliance, like on Survivor or something.
Raccoons are always up to no good.
They're
so mischievous.
they're the pranksters of the animal world. So
funny,
we're just kind of fascinated by that. And I love that they were just like, it's a snow day, we gotta go.
Yeah, right? Like, let's get out of here.
They dug a hole under the fence. And
Wow.
zoo fences, not like backyard fences that stop at the ground. Zoo fences typically go into the ground a fair ways because they're aware, they're zoologists, they know that otters can dig.
Yep.
These things must have really dug under there to get out for a snow day. So you gotta admire their snow day. And we talked about this yesterday. Unfortunately, we had a computer glitch that prevented us from playing it, but we have this Dallas time lapse that shows just this beautiful blooming of these cumulus clouds. Like we talked about, it looks almost like a head of cauliflower at times.
Yeah.
And then you see that toward the end here, the sun starts to set. You'll see kind of a rain veil go. You see the rain pouring down in the distance. You see a shaft of rain go right through. You see a couple of raindrops on the lens. And watching this just kind of, yes, it's sped up, obviously, but it just kind of gives you an idea of, in a way, the poetry of the motion of the atmosphere. You know, you sometimes forget that we're essentially living in a fluid. It's not technically a fluid, but it behaves the same way.
Right, exactly. And this is the type of video we would watch in school as we're learning the different phases of thunderstorm development. And there is a fascination with the fact that it's time lapse too. You think of how popular time lapses of tornado development are, and you know, the circular motion and just those clouds expanding, and it is just fascinating and almost therapeutic to watch.
It really is. If you put like some spa music behind that, I think you would have a hit on your hands for sure. And then again, toward the end, you finally get into that burst of rain just to kind of prove that it was actually coming down. So again, that was sent to us from our partners over at Fox Weather, the Dallas time lapse. We have had a busy day today. Now, I'm excited to look forward, obviously. Tomorrow's forecast, as we said off the top, beautiful.
Yes.
Beautiful. Don't sleep on today, though, because it's going to be, it's already, what, 54?
Yes, and I've seen the sun peek through a couple of times. That could absolutely warm our
see the
temperatures.
sun out our window
I know,
right
I can see it. We have a window on the opposite side that leads to the weather deck, or a door that leads to the weather deck. So I do think today's going to be a great afternoon.
Right.
And that being said, I don't think the weekend's going to be a full washout.
I agree. I think it's still going to be pleasant enough Saturday, although temperatures will fall through the day. Sunday, less pleasant.
Sunday a little
and then
rough,
by Monday,
but
we got the snow. But today, as I said, beautiful. I'm planning to do maybe my first significant backyard grilling. I'll still sneak out there in the winter and like heat up a couple burgers.
Sure.
But this might be the full-on grill experience today.
Question though for you. Has the Harley come out yet?
Yes-ish. I haven't had a full ride yet, but I had to start it up, make sure everything was, running the way it should, kind of run off the little bit of the fluid that you put in for the overnight of the winter. And so, yes, she started right up. Bailey, my nickname for my pearl-colored Harley Davidson Sportster, is in great shape for a 23-year-old bike now.
That's pretty impressive.
Doing pretty well. Yeah, I'm excited. That might be Friday, because now,
I was going to say, that sounds good.
The afternoon looks like 70s with some sunny breaks.
Yeah, a little windy at times, but who cares with 70s?
Right. I'm not going to like ride forever. Just take it around the block a little bit.
That's when you know it's spring, I think, when you take the Harley out.
If I do it, I'll post it and share it with you guys. In the meantime, I appreciate you guys sharing your day and your time with us. Please spread the word and get folks to download Fox Local. It's a free app, as you probably already know. And we'll see you next time right here on Wisconsin Weather Experts.